there is one single thing that derails more books than anything else on the planet. No, it is not a lack of writing talent. No, it is not a lack of access to resources like book coaching or ghostwriting. And no, it is not about people not actually having good ideas. The one thing that derails more books than anything else is simply self-doubt. And if you suspect that self-doubt is creeping in and knocking you off your trajectory to becoming a published author, this video is for you. I spend a lot of my days helping authors reframe their thoughts, get control of their emotions and their mindset, and actually power through their books. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you the exact same tips I share with my one-on-one coaching clients right now. In my team's 30 plus years in publishing, we see the same thing over and over. Women do not ask for the help we need. But if you are going to write a memoir that you are truly proud of, you are going to need training, you're going to need accountability, and you're going to need support to make sure that the whole thing is so much fun. And you're in luck, because you can head over to the Memoir Method and enroll in our very next group cohort starting next month. Just head over to pageandpodium.com/memoir-method to learn more and apply. Okay, so first things first, if you are struggling with self-doubt, welcome to the club. All of us struggle with self-doubt. Even very established authors, even people who have written dozens of books, struggle with self-doubt from time to time. And you might be surprised that some of the things that bring us the most self-doubt are actually kind of ridiculous. And you will see that because I'm going to get a little vulnerable. I'm going to share a little bit about my own writing journey, and I want to give you some examples from clients as well, so that as you are thinking through these 5 most common self-doubt questions that will plague your mind and derail your writing progress, I want you to see how relatable and how familiar all of these things are. You are not alone. There is not anything wrong with you. This is just part of our brain trying to protect itself, trying to protect us from any kind of bad consequences it's imagining in the back of the brain. But as we're going to talk about today, very few bad things can happen to you because you try to write your book. So let's tackle these questions that I bet you have had running through your brain like the worst ticker tape parade ever. All right, the Mac Daddy of all of these self-doubt questions, and the question, by the way, that sparked this video: what if I can't do it? Now, this question is not a question that I've ever been asked in a consult. Nobody has ever said to me in a coaching sales call, what if I can't do it? What if I can't write this book? No one's ever said that to me, but I hear it all the time. People have all kinds of reasons that they need to hold off. They're just really not sure it's the right time. They're going to wait maybe another couple years because they're just not sure. Sometimes it is a good idea to wait a couple years, but in almost every case, friends, the truth is that the person is really scared that they are going to commit to writing a book, they're going to tell their friends, and then they're not going to be able to do it. And that sucks. Quite frankly, that is not a fun feeling. It is understandable that when we have that fear, our brain will not let us move forward. But here's what I want you to ask in response. Whenever you hear that little critical voice say, what if you can't do it? What if you shouldn't even be trying? I want you to ask back, what if I can't do it? What would I lose if I started this process and I was not able to finish it? What would I lose? Now, you will be able to answer for yourself, but my guess is any of the answers that you can come up with and logically defend, because remember, we're countering that emotional brain, any answers you can logically come up with and defend are going to be not that big of a deal, right? What if you can't finish? Well, maybe you decide that you have learned a lot from trying to write your memoir, and it is just not for you. Maybe you discover that instead you would rather do some video format storytelling, or maybe you decide, you know what, I'm so inspired by trying to write a memoir, I think I'm going to do a series of blog posts or social media posts. What if you just realize you don't like to write? What if you realize that this dream that you have had is not actually your dream? It's something that you kind of heard about along the way, but now you've got a different thing you want to do. And you know what? Now you're going to be able to do that different thing because now you have freed yourself of this fear of failure. Truly, nothing bad is going to happen if you set out to write the memoir and you can't do it. But I want to tell you a secret. I know you can do it. And I have said that to many, many people on consults. I know you can do it. And I always either see or hear in response, well, you don't know me. How do you know that I can do it? And here is how I know. If you can stick to any kind of a program long enough to fill out an application, get the response back, book your call, get on the call, explain your book, and if you are able to write basic things like a blog post, an email, a journal entry, you can do it. I know that writing a book sounds very magical, and to be able to write a book, you must have to have some innate something that can't be taught, can't be learned. But folks, that is simply not true. As we teach in the memoir method, as we teach all of our coaching clients, and in fact, as we demonstrate for our ghostwriting clients, all you need to have an amazing book is to have the steps of the process broken down. Now, this is where people fail. And if you sit down to write a book in one afternoon, you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, you can't do that. But what you can do is write a couple of paragraphs on a Sunday afternoon, a couple more paragraphs the next Tuesday morning. Maybe you even get a whole chapter in one Saturday. And before you know it, you will have a book. That's just how it works. Books are just collections of chapters, which are just collections of paragraphs, which are just collections of sentences and words. I guarantee you can do it. You might need a little help to have it be good, but I promise you, you can do it. So the next time that voice says, what if I can't do it? First of all, I want you to say, what if I can't? Would that be so bad? And second of all, I want you to remind yourself, you absolutely can. You're here watching this video. You're trying to learn. I know you can. You can. All right. The second question people ask, this is all the time I get this question with memoir, with regular nonfiction, all kinds, is who do I think I am to write this memoir? Now, often this comes up in memoir in the context of celebrity memoir, right? Well, I'm not Oprah. I'm not Michelle Obama. Who do I think I am? Well, I will tell you, one of my mentors, Lane, she told me, I once said this to her. I once said, I just sometimes wonder, who do I think I am? In the earlier days of building my business, and I really wondered, who do I think I am? I had such intense imposter syndrome. I was so afraid I would get found out. People would realize I didn't know what I was talking about. And here's a little secret, I still feel like that sometimes. But what Lane told me was, if you think to yourself, who do I think I am? What kind of person do I think I am to do that? Here's what she said. She said, just turn the question back on that inner critic voice. Ask, who do I think I am? Are you someone who wants to help others because you've been through something really hard and you have a lot of knowledge that you didn't have before? Are you someone who is so brave and bold that you want to yank the curtain back on some injustice in this world? Are you someone who loves your family so much that you want to make sure all of the family stories are recorded for posterity? Are you someone who knows your idea could change a lot of people's lives, but it would need to be on a really big stage? Who do you think you are? Because when you start defining it, it's scary. It is scary. But what I promise is that when you start defining it, you are going to start thinking about yourself differently. Because now, instead of asking, who do you think you are telling yourself who you think you are. You are stepping into that power and you are articulating who that person is that you are and that you will be. Who do you think you are? I know who I think I am. All right, the next question, and this one I see this come up a lot. I have people ask me this. They will say, but okay, I can do it, but what if it doesn't turn out to be any good? This one is scary, right? Because this one is not like the first two, where we can give ourselves evidence in the moment that we know what we're doing, right? We can give ourselves evidence that yes, we can do it. We can give ourselves evidence that yes, we are or are becoming the person we think we are. It's really hard to give yourself evidence before you've started that your book is going to be any good. So I want to approach this one a little bit differently. There is a mindset piece here, but here I want to give you a trapeze net. Because when you set out to write your first book, you do feel a little at sea. You do feel a little bit like you're out of your element. You are walking this tightrope and you can't even see where you're going. It can be so scary. It can be so unsettling. I remember writing my first book, and really what I ended up having to do was just tell myself, you're not writing a book. You are writing a few pages on XYZ topic, and then we're going to call it good. And by the way, that is the basis for our entire memoir method program, is my experiences of figuring out that I had to break it down until it was something that I could absolutely accomplish even in an afternoon. But what is this safety net? What is this trapeze net? It's an editor. If you've been watching this channel for long, you know that I never suggest that anyone ever put their book out in the world until they have hired at least one editor. Now, if you are concerned that your book may not be good enough, I would probably go for two. The first one being a developmental editor. A developmental editor will go through at the end of your project, they'll read your whole book, and they will give you feedback on where you need to expand scenes, where you need to clarify things. If your structure is a little messy or not working for you the way it should, they will give you some ideas, some advice, sometimes step-by-step guidelines. We do this in a process we just call a manuscript review, where we go through and just give you kind of the big picture things to change. That is something that is going to be worth its weight in gold. Not only because you're going to get the advice you need to finish, but also because you are going to feel so much more confident, especially if you can find someone to do your developmental edit or your manuscript review who is going to be kind and uplifting and supportive. I promise you it is going to be reassuring. Even though none of us likes to get editing feedback on a whole book, it's overwhelming, but it is going to make you feel better. And you will know that you did not send that to anybody that has not seen worse. I guarantee it. All of us who are professional editors, we have seen way worse than anything you're going to do. We have seen manuscripts written entirely in AI. We have seen manuscripts that were actually just talk-to-text AI dictation. We have seen it all. I promise you, there is going to be something amazing about that memoir, and a developmental editor is going to make sure that that amazing thing is front and center for your readers, so you will not have to worry that your book is not any good. The second type of editor you need is called a copy editor. Now, a lot of people want to go to the copy editor first. That is a mistake. Your copy editor should only come in after you have done all the revisions you want to do. We say, especially when we're working with ghostwriting clients, what we always say is, once it goes to copy editing, we are not changing anything else. And here's the reason. I want to give a story from a past client. So we had a ghostwriting client who was writing a historical biography of one of his ancestors who had done some pretty amazing things actually in American history. And as he was going through with his ghostwriter, he had decided he wanted to kind of fictionalize some things. This was like an 1800s book, so there was some stuff we couldn't factually verify. So there were some pieces he kind of wanted to add in. He added, for example, the ghostwriter, Emily was ghostwriting it, and she has this charming little teenage cat, and he wanted the cat to be in the book. So the cat's in the book, kind of cute. But the biggest thing was, after copy editing, so after we'd done all the revisions, after we'd had it copy edited, he had an idea that he wanted to kind of pay tribute to a few people in his lives, and he wanted to put their names in the book, their last names. Now, I should have said no, but this was years ago. I was like, oh yeah, we can probably do that, right? Now I would say no. But we went in and we changed a couple of those names. Well, wouldn't you know it? Those people that we had changed the name from the generic ones we had picked, Smith, Thompson, whatever, they weren't just mentioned that one time. They were mentioned several times, and we did not catch every time they were mentioned, which meant we had to go back to copy editing. That was a costly mistake. Now, we fronted that charge because, again, I should have told him no, but I don't want you to do that. So once you go to copy editing, nothing else changes other than the things that the copy editor highlights and asks you to clarify. And usually your copy editor will look at that stuff again for you. Anything that you're changing, they will take another look and make sure you're good. So your developmental editor or your manuscript review and your copy editor, they are the safety net. You can go on that trapeze because if you fall, you're just going to fall in a net. It will be fine. So this question, what if it's not any good? You're already going to know it's good. You're going to know it's good, first of all, in your heart because you wrote it, but you're also going to have validation that it's good because you are going to follow this essential advice and get at least one editor, ideally two. Okay, the next question that I hear people asking themselves so often is, what if I go to all this trouble and I can't get it published? Oh, friends, this hurts my heart. This is a real thing. Particularly if you have your eye on a big traditional book deal, no one can guarantee that for you. No one can guarantee bestseller status on a self-published or traditionally published or hybrid book. No one can guarantee that. But especially, no one can guarantee that you're going to get a big book deal with an advance from a big publisher. So what I want to say in response to this naggy little brain question, what if I can't get it published? I want to ask, what would that mean? Might mean a couple things, right? One, it might mean you don't get that big book deal. It might mean that not getting that book deal is the best thing that ever happened to you. Maybe your manuscript then lands at a small independent publisher like Page and Podium, or any of the others out there who are going to treat your manuscript with kid gloves. Or maybe you will decide that you want to self-publish it. Maybe that will end up being a catalyst for you to build a speaking career. Maybe that will end up being something that really inspires you to do more community leadership, to kind of get out there and help people. What if not getting that book deal you want ends up being the exact right thing for you? Okay, but that's easier said than done, right? Because what I think we're really thinking of, I think what our brain is really trying to do when it says, what if we can't get it published? I think it's trying to protect us from disappointment. Oh, disappointment is a hard emotion. I hate feeling as though I have worked so hard for something for years only to have it fall away. It's just not going to happen. And as tenacious as you want to be, as much as you want to take targeted action until you reach your goal, there just are times it's just not going to happen for you. But the good news is you can handle disappointment. So one of the tricks I want to give you for this is to look back at your life and look at all of the times that something did not go the way you wanted it to do. I have a lot of examples from my life. I have changed careers many times over the course of my life, largely because I wasn't able to achieve the place that I wanted to achieve. I wasn't able to kind of have it all in a lot of cases. But I've also been disappointed in romantic relationships. I've been disappointed that I wasn't able to, master a really complicated recipe. I've been disappointed that I've wanted to pick up a new hobby and it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. All kinds of disappointment, big to small. And the thing is, none of those killed me. None of them really even hurt me for any really long extended period of time. Because in every single case of disappointment, I processed it I let myself feel that sadness, whether I could do it at the time or years later in therapy, that's another question. But I let myself process that disappointment. And by doing that, I was able to realize, to find that there were better things, that there were better things on the horizon for me. And that having that goal fall through, not being able to publish your book, not being able to get a job in the place you wanted, not being able to get into your school of choice, none of those things is the end of the world. And very often, they're the start of a new world. So, what if you can't get it published? What if you can't? The worst case scenario is that you went through the whole process of writing a book. You learned so much about yourself. You were able to spend time on something you wanted to do, time that you found valuable and enriching. You were able to learn a new skill. I bet you learned new things about yourself, your family. What if you don't get it published? Now, we are going to do everything we can to help you get your book published. But right now, nobody can guarantee it. And all I want you to know is if that happened, if you could not get a big book deal, you would be okay. And you might even be better. All right, last but not least, my fifth question that I find floating around in my brain, in people's brains, in all the brains of authors everywhere is, what if people laugh at me? Oh, it pains me to even say that to you out loud because honestly, this is one of those questions that people don't really say. It's in our head. But saying it is really painful, actually, right? To imagine people laughing at you it can be all kinds of things, right? It can be a return to the scene of major trauma in childhood. I was teased and made fun of a lot. I'm very tall. And I was tall. I was about 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" when I was a second or third grader. So I got teased a lot for just being really, really tall, and I was awkward. I still am. Now I love it. Did not love it when I was a kid. And being laughed at, really, it takes me kind of back to that place of feeling excluded, of being kind of pushed out of society, shunned, which we know our brain does not like that feeling. That is a survival instinct from many, many, many generations ago. And I think also the idea of being laughed at just feels, you don't know what to do. You feel so powerless, right? Think back to a time that you did feel like you were being mocked. Maybe not laughed at, but we have all had those experiences where we posted something on social media and somebody came in and told us we were an idiot. And if you think there's any truth to that in your heart, when somebody says it, oh, it hurts, right? Here's what I want to say. Some people are going to hate your book. There it is. Some people are going to hate your book. And the way I know that is that some people hate every book. One of the books I would say is referenced most often in calls with potential clients is Educated, Tara Westover. It's an excellent book. There were a lot of amazing memoirs around that time, but Educated is fantastic. Check it out if you haven't. People didn't like that book. Now, maybe you liked it. I loved it. The New York Times bestseller list liked it. But if you Google negative reviews, if you look over Tara Westover's Amazon, you are going to find 1-star reviews. Every single author has people who do not like their book. It doesn't mean it's bad. It means that they are not your audience, right? It means they are not the people you are going to ever reach or change or inspire. Bless and release. And here's how I want to break this down for you. You are always going to have 3 types of people who will encounter your book. Now notice, I did not say readers because I know for a fact that many people who are the biggest haters never even read these books. For what that's worth, 3 types of people who will encounter your book. And the first will be the haters. And those people, as Taylor Swift loves to say, are going to hate, 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 hate. They will. Every time they hate everything because mostly they hate themselves. And I feel sad saying that. I don't want anybody to hate themselves. But almost always that anger and that vitriol that's coming out, the laughter, that is not about you and it is not about your book. That is about them. You are never going to reach those people. Bless and release. Let them laugh if they want to. What's funny? They just make themselves look kind of like dodos. But the first group is going to be the haters. The second group are going to be totally neutral, right? They probably won't even pick your book up. If they do, they might, buy it, leave it on their nightstand for a while and put it in the bookshelf. They just don't really care. And this is another very human thing, right? These folks are just thinking about themselves. And I will tell you, one of the most powerful things that I have realized over my 42 years of life is that if you focus on the fact that most people are not thinking about you, most people are thinking about only themselves, and they do not even care what you are doing, whether you are doing it, how you are doing it. They don't even think about you. When you realize that, you'll realize that they do not matter. They're not even paying attention. So those people are not laughing at you. They aren't even engaged. And the third type, I saved the best for last. The third type are going to be your supporters. And ask me how I know that every book has supporters. Every book has supporters. I have worked with dozens of authors. Dozens. I have never had an author who didn't get at least a couple of pieces of fan mail, a couple of emails or social posts that said, oh my gosh, I understood myself better because of this book. Or who said, I am so inspired that you did this and I see myself in you and now I know I can do it too. Or they will say, I thought this was so funny, or I thought it was so moving, or I thought it was so inspiring that I bought a copy for all my friends. You will have those people. Now, our brain wants to protect us by focusing on the haters, focusing on the neutrals. We are conscious beings. It is our job to re-steer the ship back to those supporters, because you are not writing this book for the haters, and you are not writing this book for the neutrals. You are writing this book for the future supporters. Okay. If that doesn't get you out of your head and onto the page, I truly don't know what will. I hope this has been really, really valuable. Remember that all of us have this inner critic, whether you have published 0 books or 100. All of us have this little trickle of self-doubt, these questions that our brain loves to throw at us and just derail all of our progress. And you know what? You are strong enough to overcome that self-doubt. I bet now's the time that you should start your book, and I hope now is the time you will. Happy writing. In my team's 30 plus years in publishing, we see the same thing over and over. Women do not ask for the help we need. But if you are going to write a memoir that you are truly proud of, you are going to need training. You are going to need accountability to keep your progress on track, and you are going to need support to make sure that the whole thing is so much fun. And now is your chance to enroll in the next cohort of the Memoir Method, the group program designed specifically to help women write and finish their memoirs. Head over to pageandpodium.com/memoir-method to learn more and apply. I can't wait to meet you.